What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
What kind of ignorant shit is that?
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
You idiot, you fool!
Hey, dummy!
This is the Ignorance is Blessed podcast.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Hey, idiots. I'm here with my friend. They're my fans. I got to just stop. People get show. I'm here with my friend Mike Carrozza, you guys. I just spent 10 minutes being like, should I say your name like it's a dish that's only made in Sicily? Dude, thanks for jumping on with me. I'm a mess.
Thanks for asking me. I'm stoked. You asked me to talk about something that I don't shut up about already, and so I'm excited.
That is what I want. You would not believe how many people, not usually comedians, but sometimes comedians will ask me to do my podcast when I'm not like soliciting. And then I'm like, that's cool. Do you have like a thing that you like? And then they're just not that stoked about it. And I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah. Like I'll watch a skateboard video here and there, like once every couple of months.
I'm like, yeah, we talk about that. You're like,
okay.
Cool. I'd rather just rip my eyeballs out. That sounds more fun, but sure. Dude, before we started, we were just talking about how long it's been. We'll get to the thing you love. Oh, it's coming, you guys.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not worried. We have a couple questions online that I could not understand.
Yeah, some of them I felt were just, I was like, are they trying to insult you? And they are typos. Is this a thing that is too deep? Magic the Gathering? All right, I gave it away, you guys.
One of them I didn't expect you to grab onto, and it was a sweet thing from my buddy Matt, but that was the only one that I was like, is that? No, it's not an insult. He's calling me a cutie with a booty. That's what that is.
I mean, I'm envious. I wish anyone would have.
Losing you? This is a bummer.
Oh no, can you hear me?
See if I can do something about this.
Oh no, it's fine on my end.
See now we're back. Let me see if this helps. It's such a dumb idea. It might work. I'm going to open the door.
Oh, that's crazy. It's like totally good on my end.
Well, now I'm back.
He's back, you guys.
And the door is open, and I don't care who hears it. Magic the Gathering rules.
A bunch of people come in, and they're just like, loser.
Yeah, my brother's having a pool party with all of his friends from high school who only stand with their biceps curled. And
wow, that sounds terrible. What a bunch of losers. Can you take a picture and send it? I'm just kidding.
Well, I got a cardboard cutout of James Dean.
I was going to ask if that was James Dean. Is it on something or is it humongous? Because
it's humongous. It's a life-size cardboard cutout of James Dean.
From here, it seems like it's 8 feet tall. Is that just the angle?
It's the angle, because I'm like here.
Yeah, I guess the computer is like down.
Yeah. So
okay.
5'5". He's got like a foot and some inches on me.
What a man.
Yeah. So.
I had a giant poster of him in college, but that's never reached cardboard cutout level. Is he a character in Magic the Gathering? Is that why you have that?
Yeah, big fan of his character, James Dean, rebel without a cause. Is that the movie he's in? I think
so. Yeah, it is. And then he died in a car crash. Filming that movie, or just those are two things? I don't know.
I think he finished the movie and was like, let's let it rip, baby. And he did. And he
really did. Yes. R.I.P. indeed. Fuck.
R.I.P. James Dean. Last time I did a show online, do you know Akeem Woods? Akeem Woods, sweetie boy comic.
Not really. I know of him, but we haven't really hung out, if that makes sense.
He's very funny, very sweet. He put out a very funny sketch called Hitch Dicks, which I recommend. If you just Google Hitch Dicks, you might be able to find it.
Amazing.
He was on my show, and I have this cardboard cutout on my show for when I do it online. And he was like, so is James Dean racist? And I was like, oh God, I don't know. What is he?
I mean, probably. If we're being realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
He was born in
man.
the 30s, died in the 50s, and you're like, yeah, inherently, yes. But then he was also in a movie that was like, look at racism and it's bad. And you're like, did he
Oh.
do that knowingly?
Or was he just like, apart?
yeah,
I'm going to play it.
Or he was like, oh, hold on a second. You mean I get to be racist on camera and be praised for it? And then again, I don't know what role he took in that movie.
I mean, I honestly have not really seen a lot of James Dean. I'll be honest. I was just into James Dean because he's hot. I can admit that. He's just
you
like
can admit that,
cool.
no problem.
I was never like his acting, which I don't know. I'm not insulting it. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I think I know nothing about him. All I know is that I got this cardboard cutout for a show that I was doing in Montreal, like years ago, like 6 years ago. I ran a variety show in Montreal, and one of the shows I was going to do a raffle, and then completely spaced on the raffle, completely spaced on the whole bit that I had behind the raffle, because 2 of my friends booked on the show surprised me with like this crazy sketch, and that was like encouraged within the spice of the show.
Oh, I love
but
that.
I just completely forgot. And the idea was that I was supposed to be a big baby running around the audience with it was this big bottle with like a coin slot. So like I was going to be going around and be like, do you want a raffle? And here's a raffle. And then they put money in the baby bottle. And then the winner would get this. And then I forget something else. Whatever it was, the other prize, I gave it to somebody at the end of the show because I forgot it was like a sponsor thing. But I just forgot in my basement. And then when I got home for quarantine, I put it up and was like, well, here's some set dressing. I'm glad I have something.
Thank God.
And,
you needed a backdrop.
I put a little Hawaiian lei on him. Put that
I mean,
on
it's a whole thing. It's fun.
And I get to do this joke at the beginning of every show. I say, hey, look, it's James Dean. He's got a lei. Went to Hawaii, came back. He brought his own. He brought his own lei to Hawaii, came back with the same one. And I'm so tickled by that idea. I don't know that anybody else is, but I love it.
I love your enthusiasm for it.
Yeah, that's how people react to my comedy. I'm glad that my career still translates onto podcasts happening across an entire continent. Ooh.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're on the good side. Is that a thing? Oh God. How's Montreal?
Montreal's been very nice, very warm, so hot. I live in Toronto, but I've been in Montreal since March because of COVID.
Okay.
And luckily, like, here's the thing. I was able to work from home for a little while. And because I'm home with my parents and we're so far from anything, I haven't spent anything except for paying for rent in an apartment that I can't be in right now.
That's fun.
Which is still okay considering, because I didn't realize how much I spent on literally everything else.
Yes.
So now I'm just sitting on enough that I'm like, okay, I don't have to like worry so much. And then I took a leave of absence from work because I still am like having panic attacks about going back to working in a mall or working on the
anywhere
road.
like with people.
And we have like this COVID benefit program in Canada. So turns out I qualified for it. I called like 3 different hotlines to be like, I just want to make sure so I'm not committing fraud. And they're like, you called 2 days ago. And I said, yes, you should apply.
Like the law hasn't changed.
Yeah. So that was embarrassing. But
I mean, I appreciate your diligency that you're like, I don't want to take money and then later be accused, because everything that's going on here too is like I'm getting unemployment, but I'm like, am I supposed to be getting this? Am I later going to get sued? Can I be sued by the government? Like,
that's the super scary part about the States. Like everything about it, I'm like, oh, nobody really knows how the rules work out there ever. And I'm just like, they've made it unclear on purpose. So,
100%. So
it's like, yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Well, yeah. I'm glad you're doing well up there.
I'm doing okay.
Yay.
Yeah,
it's so funny too. Just, I relate so much to how much I'm saving by not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's a true testament to how broke I normally am, that I don't have a lot of money now, but I feel like I'm killing it. That I'm like, oh my God, is that a comma? What? It's gone.
Yeah.
But fuck. Well, anyway, let's just get into what we're here for, because
I have a fun fact for your listeners if they don't know anything about French people. 'Cause
Oh,
we talked
yes.
about commas and money. The French use commas
As-
instead of decimals.
That's right.
So they go with a comma, and so technically, even if you've got no money in the bank, you've got a comma in that number.
I should have stayed in France.
In France.
Do you speak French? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do comedy in French?
I've tried it once or twice, but I don't really carry over that way because the French comedy is kind of still like
Buffoonery.
Well, yeah.
You're absolute clowns if you're listening to this, and I respect it.
I mean, I wish it was more on the clown side because now it's the French side of things has only started coming up on like late 80s comedies.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of plagiarism that happens in French comedy, and in Spanish comedy.
Oh, yeah.
People are translating bits and getting away with it.
Isn't that what Gad did?
A little bit.
Are we not allowed to say that? Are we going to get a black boxed? Blacklisted?
Yes.
I don't even know the word.
No, hold on a second. Let's get black boxed, baby. And then we get a spotlight out of it. I'm into that.
Yes.
I'm not speaking on Gad because I haven't read everything, but he was accused of it. And wouldn't shock me, but also like the way that they've approached it before, or I've seen people kind of rip off jokes from English and French. They'll be like, what? It's not like you're using it in French, so I can do it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, what I heard was, and I'm just going to say, I heard this from a source that I cannot remember and is very likely completely not credible.
It was the wall at a comedy club in Toulouse.
Yes. No, somebody said, because people were like, oh, Gad's like the French Seinfeld. And somebody said it turned out he was just doing Seinfeld. But Seinfeld found out and was like, yeah. And Gad was already successful. And he's like, but do you just want to like pay me for my material? And he paid him and it was fine. That's what I heard. I have never looked it up. I have a problem with someone telling me information, and I mean, that's the whole crux of this podcast, but like someone says something and until someone else brings it up or I happen upon information on it, very often I just accept it as truth. And I'm like, I guess that's a fact.
You ever seen that Tom Segura bit about his dad leaning into him, watching Tommy Lee Jones and be like, you see him, that he's gay. And then all his life, Tom Segura has been like, yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is gay, right? He's gay. And then he sits down in LA talking to somebody. Tommy Lee Jones comes up and is like, did you know he's gay? And the guy's like, no, Tommy's one of my closest friends. I know his wife. And he's like, well, who told you he was gay? And he's like, my dad told me. He's like, your dad? What does your dad know? And
that's so funny.
and so that's the whole thing. And then he calls his dad and he's like, hey, Dad, Tommy Lee Jones, you said he was gay. He's not gay. He's like, oh, I thought he was. And that's it.
Yeah, that's literally happened to me so many times with a varying degree of people. Or every once in a while I look it up and I'm like, oh, it's not that. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, well, who knew?
Yeah, I know.
Terrible habit.
I have a quick question. I know that I'm interrupting.
No, go on.
Do I sound a little higher pitched than I normally am, or do I sound normal? Because I've had this happen before where I've done full on like 15-minute sets, but I sound up here and it's just enough that I just forgot to do the test on my mic.
I think you sound maybe a tiny bit, but you definitely don't sound like helium.
Okay, good. I just did a little test and I can hear myself fine. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
I just forgot to test it before, and it happened twice, and it was very funny that nobody caught on. They were like, yeah, that's what he sounds like, I guess.
I was like, I haven't talked to you in person in a long time. So
I know. It has been a very long time.
I know.
Was it Omaha?
Yes.
Like we met in Omaha.
Yeah.
And there were maybe like 2 or 3 times where we were supposed to be in the same city or like
something.
We were supposed to cross paths or like, and then it never happened. So technically I think I've only seen you in Omaha.
In Omaha. God,
we were on 2 shows out there. And
what was that? Crom Fest.
Yes, Crom Comedy Festival in Omaha.
And that was what, like 2016, 2017? Fuck, 2017. 16.
2017.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
I'd even go so far to say maybe it was 15.
Fuck, maybe it was.
Yeah, because I moved to Toronto late 2017, and
Okay.
I was solidly here, not even thinking of moving yet.
Fuck.
Yeah, doesn't that suck? Isn't that
It's so
crazy?
crazy. What's crazy, but what I also love about comedy is that's my favorite part of festivals is like you have this
Yeah.
condensed 2 or 3 day period where you just become best friends with people from a complete
Yeah.
different side of the globe, and then
Yeah.
you end up running into them or you end up in their city, and it's like, oh, I know someone here that I feel
Oh yeah.
and now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, is it just me that I'm like, I feel really close to people from festivals? Or
No, I'm like that too. You definitely forge some friendships that like will last a long time and that are kind of like, you know how like the best kind of friends are those that like you might not see each other or talk to each other all the time, but when you do, it's like right back up again. No
yes.
matter what. You don't have to catch up on much. You can just be like, "Hey, how's the job?" And it's like, "I changed job. Great. Let's get back to being goofballs and like we're still in the know about this subject. We can be goofs about that." Like it's so easy cuz in comedy you have to be tuned into all the stuff that's happening in the
Yes.
business. So you're never kind of out of the loop on a bunch of stuff, but then when one of you has something juicy, it's kind of fun to talk about it.
Oh,
But
I mean, yeah, I like a little juicy
I
juice.
like a little bit of juice. I can dig a little juice. I have fun.
I mean, I like some tea.
Uh-huh.
Fuck. I mean, yeah. I don't. Yes.
It's just fun. It's just nice to see you again. I mean, again, we were supposed to bump into each other plenty more than we have. And it's one of those things where like I'm sure like I've seen a video of your stand. I remember listening to your album after I got back from Crom. I was like, oh, I know this person, doing great. Okay. Oh, you want to come down to Montreal and Toronto? Let's help you set that up. And
Yeah.
something happened there, or like I don't even remember. Like
I mean,
so,
shit always happens.
but then there's people that you see at festivals all the time. Like I've been on, I don't know, like 5 festivals with Ian Aber from Atlanta, who's just like
Oh,
the
he's so
sweetest
sweet.
man. And
He's delightful.
he's so sweet, but what a savage. He can be so sneaky mean, and I love it. I love it.
What?
He's a hell of a roaster. You don't know this?
He is. I mean, it's so funny. So
I
fucking
know.
funny.
He's too good. He's too good. He's
God.
got a great album out. Night
Oh
Shiver.
shit. I gotta go check it out. I haven't heard his
Yeah.
album.
Oh yeah, it's really sweet. It's all the bits you know and love, and then a couple of them that he's dusted off that he hasn't done in a while, but still sound great. So
I
yeah.
love that. I miss stand up so much.
Me too. Me too.
Are you
It's
guys getting
scary.
back up at all up there?
So here's the scoop. Sunday night, I'm on at the Comedy Nest in Montreal, which I know it's scary for me because I literally, for the first month and a half of quarantine, did not go outside. Like I stayed indoors.
You didn't even get some like sunshine?
Oh, I popped off onto the patio and was like, you know what? I'm happier indoors. And so I'd stay. And I'm not even kidding. I've literally had so many panic attacks over this fucking thing.
Oh
And I've
no.
only recently just started being able to like see some friends or like go out. And our numbers are like way, way lower. Like we
Yeah.
don't have the density of population of the United States. We don't have like the amount of people that have it every day. The new cases are crazy out there.
Yeah, and probably not like the surplus of fucking idiots who are just
No, we have those.
Yeah,
We have
okay.
those. Yeah. Canada's doing its own thing. Did you know that Indigenous rights are the heavy thing right now, which is perfect because they deserve their rights. It's crazy
Yeah.
that Canada's gone so far and so long without people being like, it's pretty fucked up what they did over there. And they're like,
We should say something.
What you mean in those schools where the nuns fall like full on fucking murdered children? And you're like, whoa, okay, what?
Oh
You're like,
no.
yeah, so like that's all coming to light and it's fantastic. I want things to progress and I want things to be better for everybody, and that
Of
means
course.
but also our numbers here, getting back to the COVID stuff, the new the new cases a day for a while in Toronto was like 200 and people were like, oh my god, that's too much. And then it was 200 for the entire province and I was still like, well, not everybody's getting tested. And I'm terrified because I'm also seeing everything in the States being like, there are people in the States driving through Canada to get to and they tell border agents that they're going to Alaska, and that's why they get to cross the border.
What?
But they actually stop and stay in places like Banff for the holiday, for the summer, and they're not the mask wearing types. They're willing to
No,
lie
they're rednecks.
And so
Ugh.
they're the ones that show up and under tip from a good. That's my friend at the restaurants that told me about this. Nobody's tipping well when they fucking defy every order in a pandemic
Yeah.
and lie to the country for your purpose of entering. And then they're just going to go back and be like, yeah, Alaska was fun. And they'll be like, we have no way to check, but you guys can Google and search us when we just come to hang out with friends in your country.
I
It's
know.
bullshit.
It is
Everything's a
bullshit.
nightmare.
I didn't know it was that easy, and frankly, I'm pissed I haven't taken advantage of it.
Well, yeah. Don't you want to go back to Alaska?
No, I was like, I could have. I had the thought of, I should road trip to Alaska, and then I was like, oh, I'd have to go through Canada. And again,
Yeah.
without any more insider research, I was like, I guess I can't do that, and then I moved on from it.
Right.
Fuck.
I'm hoping that some people have just like flat out been refused now, and I hope that some borders have just like the order is now we're closed to the States.
Yeah, I got to assume
No, yeah.
now that they're like,
Yeah.
fuck you. No,
They have to be.
it's.
We nearly have this thing contained. You mean we're like almost like we're getting closer and closer to the end of this thing in our country, and then we're gonna be like, you know what? You know who has money and is gonna come up here and spend too much of it because they think they're paying us less, and they refuse to change their money into our money.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So like what happens in Canada a lot is like Americans will pay with American currency and be like, what's that? $2? Here's $2. And you're like, this is
sure.
like $4.
You're like, do you understand currency exchange? That's so funny. Wow. It's
time.
hilarious and how and horrifying how dumb as a nation we really are. Like, whew,
Yeah.
boy.
And I'll say this, I love the States, okay? I love coming down there. I love performing out there. You're the only country in North America that gives enough of a shit about me for me to kind of have a career. So fucking get your
Yay.
shit together so I can come tour, because my album's coming out. Was supposed to be out already, and I was supposed to be out there right now. But
showing
yeah,
it to the
so-
world. Fucking yeah, you guys just wear your masks
Get
so
your
we
shit
can
together.
all do shows. Like yeah, it's weird at the beginning of my show because I add on a separate intro, and there's always, usually like the chunk where you're like, and here's where you can see me, and it's just like,
yeah.
and you guys could see me on Twitter. So
Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to tweet out a link to a Twitch show that I am reluctantly doing.
yeah, and it's probably gonna be bad.
Except some of them have been cool.
Yeah,
But
no.
That said, I can't tell you how excited. I'm so excited for Sunday. I have been nervous about it leading up. The booker, like the owner of the Comedy Nest, is the sweetest man alive. I love him so much. He's been so good to me throughout my entire career, and he's like listens, and he's incredible. David Acker, fantastic comedian, also world-renowned magician. Incredible.
Oh wow, he does it all.
He does it all. And so they not only reopened the Comedy Nest, but they like the capacity there's like 150. They're only going 50 people, no more.
Nice,
50 is the
smart.
top. And they're also, there's no wiggle room on that. So if like you're showing up with like 3 people and there are 48 people in the room,
You're gonna be like, too
outta
bad.
here. Yeah, one of you has to go, and it doesn't even matter. They're not making no concessions. The comics, like the green
Good.
room, there is no green room for us. Instead, we're in the back hallway where like Zambonis used to be, because the Comedy Nest is in the old hockey arena that the
Really?
Canadians used to play in. Yeah. And so we're in this gigantic space that's like a service elevator that where we have like 8 feet of wall to ourselves that we can yell. Like we can yell at each other from there and not be heard in the showroom.
That's amazing.
Honestly, it's like the only return to comedy that I would feel comfortable with. And aside from maybe like a drive-through show, but those aren't the things that I'm getting asked to do out in Canada. But I have fielded offers in the States. I just can't come down there.
I would love to, but I am not allowed in. So
Yeah. Entry
fix your
denied.
shit.
Please get it
Fuck.
together.
God, that
That's
stuff
fine.
sucks. It's so annoying.
It'll get better eventually.
I hope so. I hope that I'm like, what if we can never leave America? What if we're trapped here? Anyway, I don't want
It
this
would
to
mean
be.
that Just for Laughs has to say hello to Mikey. What's happening?
I mean, for fuck's sake, could they already? I've
Oh,
already
they
been.
have. They have.
Okay, I was like, I've already been blackballed about Gad in this episode. Blackwatered, blacklisted. I'm just gonna keep changing it.
Wait, you said black boxed, blackbirded. You were blackbirded too.
I've been blackbirded from the Just for Laughs festival.
From the Gad Elmaleh presents Howie Mandel's Just for Laughs.
There's just so. I mean,
And it's a weird thing. I've been to the festival 10 years in a row, like in a volunteer
Yay.
capacity, in a performance capacity. But this is the first year where I'm not going to be able to because it's just not happening.
is it going to
And
be
it
in the
is
fall
very
or are
weird.
they nixing
I don't
it?
know. They canceled the Toronto one. So
Okay.
I'm assuming if anything, they're going to try for the fall. If they do the fall, then they're not going to be able to get Americans out here.
No.
So the British comics, I don't know if they'll be able to get them out here. So hopefully that means, hello, I not only am available, I have a great podcast. My album is coming out, and I'm predicting to critical acclaim. And
Yeah, of course.
I am ready to make some silly for the people who want to see me. And I'll tell you what, people will want to see me because they want to see anything right now.
They're
Let me
like,
in.
God, let me out of my house.
Yes, please.
I mean, that would be great for you. For you, I hope it works out. God, I miss.
So do I.
This hellhole
miss
of a
comedy.
country.
I miss comedy so
Me
much.
too. Fuck. Well, let's just get into the fun stuff.
Let's dive in. I have some cards here.
You do? Okay, so
Yeah.
if anyone's just listening, this is also up on YouTube. So you'll be able to go watch the episode on YouTube if you want to see the visuals. We're talking about Magic the Gathering. We stated that
Yes.
earlier. Okay, first of all, how old were you when you got into this?
I must have been about 10 when I first got into Magic. I fell away from it, maybe like 4 years later.
Why?
And then
Because
I
you
got-
wanted to get pussy?
I was hoping so, but it didn't work out, and so I went back. And, not enough people wanted to play. Not enough people gave a shit. I also went to a French high school, so reading English cards when your friends are French kids who don't want to learn English or are separatists, Quebecois separatists, or you
I'm
know,
just kidding.
that's when you start getting into being in bands and stuff. So I was in bands. and
Wait,
that's
so
what happened.
do they not have international decks? There's no like Magique,
yeah.
Le
Yeah.
Gathering? I don't know how to say gathering on Francais, but
They translate in a ton of languages. I know off the top of my head I can think of English, French, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Russian, Portuguese,
Dang.
Italian, German. Those are the
Wow.
ones I can think of. That's 9 languages right now. But at the time, they were only like there were French cards. I had some French cards, but they, it was.
But your
it was just
14-year-old French friends were like smoking long cigarettes, and they were like, "We don't care." This is a racist impression of a French person. I'm
Yeah,
very
yeah.
sorry. French Canadian.
Well, I mean, see, that's a French person. Instead, they weren't smoking long cigarettes. They were smoking packs of God. I forget the name of the brand. Just like they were drinking Pepsi and being
The
like,
American
"Hey,
spirits. Oh
the
wait, probably
equivalent."
not. I was like, wait, yeah, no, definitely not those.
But they would be like, hey, moi là, j'aime pas ça de Magic. Arrête-moi donc de parler de ça, c'ti. And then you'd be like, okay, all right. And then they'd be like, Sum 41, ça rock en tabarnak. And you're like, okay, all right. Sum 41 rules. I get you. Okay.
It's just good to know that all the great music translates to everyone. You know?
I mean, they're Canadian. I was okay with it.
I know, I fucking loved them. Are you kidding? Them and Good Charlotte. That's all. I
Pop punk, baby. It had a moment, and that moment is still in me. And that's
in my heart forever.
I love it. I love pop punk, but I don't like the behavior of a lot of these people.
The misbehavior.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
So
What? Can you give me a breakdown of what Magic the Gathering is?
So let me see if I can find an example of each type of card in this deck. Because what I have here is a deck of 100 cards. This is called a commander deck. This is a format of Magic where you pick one creature to be the commander of the deck, and so this is the guy, and you get like this guy is 3 different colors, so you can play the 3 colors in that deck exclusively, and that's what commander is. So you like pick somebody to lead the charge, and that's who you pick dictates how you run your deck and stuff. But the idea is that Magic is defined as a game of conflict,
Ah,
and you use 5 different colors. So it's white, blue, black, red, and green. And then
okay.
there are also colorless cards. And then there's also like gold cards, like the ones that I just showed you, which is multicolor, right?
Okay.
So the idea is that you have a ton of different kinds of cards that you can use to, win the game. You start with 20 life in the regular game, 40 in the format that I play.
Oh, you have a
And
special format. Okay.
so Commander is not the standard format. It was put together as a type of
Like an
format that you
expansion?
play. No, so it's actually a way to like use older cards, because what happens with Magic is there's a format called Standard, and Standard is the current set plus like whatever most recent sets within like a certain time frame. Your hair looks so great down there.
Oh,
You look so
oh,
great.
thanks. That's why I pulled it down. Not because it was.
Get out of here.
Thank you. Oh, you're so kind.
So anyway, uh so Magic, what you're doing is your goal is to reduce the other player's life total down to 0, right? That's the whole
Okay.
deal.
You're killing
Okay,
the other people.
That's right.
Sort of.
The flavor of the game is that you are 2 mages like you're 2 planeswalkers, because there's a whole multiverse thing, and
Okay.
you're going up against each other, and that's the whole deal.
And a mage is
Um,
kind of like a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go ahead and just call it a wizard.
Okay.
Honestly.
So you're a wizard that walks in a plane.
Yes, you walk on Air Force One. You say, you do the snakes on a plane line. People think you're hilarious, and
then bam.
that's how you start doing comedy, baby. That's how you get booked at the store, at the improv. You get on
All
there.
the big ones.
Yeah, baby. What, you think we don't have those here? Come on, let me at 'em. Let me get in there. I'm still trying to find like one card of each type to show you.
So there's multiple. Okay, someone asked this in the Facebook
Yes.
group. They asked if you play with one color decks or multicolor decks. So can you play with? Do people play with just one color?
Yeah, some people do. So, in this format in Commander, you are limited to the colors of your commander. So, like I just showed you Otrimi, who was the gold creature here that has 3 different colors in its casting cost right there. So you see those symbols at the top?
Oh, at the top right? Okay.
Yeah. So those are the colors of black, green, and blue, represented by the skull, the tree, and the drop of water.
Okay.
So, sweet pup. God
Oh
damn
yeah,
it.
this is my dog Moki's right here. The neighbor I think is hanging something up on the wall, so she heard him banging and she got scared.
She's a sweetie.
She's the cutest dog on the planet. I don't even know if she's a dog. She's like a creature. I rescued her from China.
Mhm.
She's like, wait,
All
you
I
have
want
to
to do is
see
talk
her.
about this dog.
Look at her.
I might cry. I
She's
love
like a
dogs
black
so
Falcor.
much.
Don't cry, Mike. Come on, get it
I
together.
might. I love dog. Don't you dare.
Wait,
Okay.
so with that commander, does that mean you can play any of the 3 colors? Is that
So,
what that
yeah.
designates?
Yeah, but you can't play red or white in that deck. So this
Okay.
is just commander, right? In the standard format, you can play any color you want. You just need to balance your mana sources to be able to play those cards. So the cost that you see at the top right is you need to be able to produce one of these colors and then 3 of any color to play this guy.
Okay.
Right. So to do that, you need land cards, which look like this. They each have a different symbol. So this is a drop of water for an island. An island is a blue source. The
Okay.
swamps are black, represented by a skull. The forests are green, represented by a tree. Plains are white, represented by sun, and
Okay.
a fireball for red, which is a mountain land. So those are.
The fireball for mountains.
Yeah, I know. Well,
They're like,
that's
ah,
it doesn't need to
because the
make sense.
mountain is high, gets closer to the sun. Icarus, whatever. Sure.
There we go. Perfect. And
Wait, so you have to have land?
yeah. So every turn you get to play one land from your hand. That's just
Okay.
unless you have stuff that says put a land into play. Like I think this one right here. This is a sorcery card that you can play that says you may put a land. You search your library, which is your deck, for a land. I know a land that you put into play, and then a land that you put into your hand. So that way you have a land drop for the next turn all set up, and you also advanced your land count for the next turn. So rather than like, let's say you ramp, which is
Hang on just a second. I'm going to pause because I don't know what the fuck. All right, you guys. I briefly paused because apartment buildings, huh? Doing really well over here.
gotta love them.
Gotta love them. Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about land. Is the
Right.
So you're trying to accumulate land?
Sort of. So like the idea is that the game. So this game is from 1993 and has been around for that long with like multiple expansions a year for a long time now.
Oh wow,
And
so they're always adding new shit.
Right. So like the deck I'm holding right now, this is a pre-constructed deck with like 2 added cards extra
Okay.
that you can just buy out of the box and play, and it includes like new cards from this like expansion, and then you can like go off and create your own decks. Like Commander, the idea behind the format I like playing is that at tournaments, because there were there are like tournaments for this.
Have you done tournaments?
Not on like a professional scale. No.
Okay.
I've done like release events and gone to like a convention or two, but not.
You haven't like been high level competing Magic.
No.
Have you ever thought of it? Have you ever been like maybe?
I thought of it, but then realized immediately that I could never because like the idea behind Standard is that it rotates so quickly, and then it's an element of the game that I like. The version that I play, it's a singleton format. What's up?
What? I have my own format, you guys.
Yeah. So you can only have one card of you can only have one copy of each card aside from basic lands. So like islands, swamps, forests, mountains, and plains, you can have as many as you want in the deck as long as it's 100 cards.
Okay.
But every other card has to have a different English name from each other in the deck. That's the limit. That's the limitation.
Okay.
And the idea was that because Standard format rotates and you have a bunch of cards from a format that is no longer legal, some guys were like, let's just use these and put like a commander at the top so we have some deck building restrictions. Let's make it a singleton format. Let's do that. And then we'll just make a whole new format so we don't have to stop using the cards because, what happens when they're no longer useful, and then
Because they had collected so many cards and they felt fucked.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like these are also cards that have that are very valuable, right? Like
Yeah.
So, for example, like if you were in a tournament and then one hot deck popped off, and you were like, "Well, that means I have to get 4 copies of this card," and then that's a $60 card. But then as soon as Standard rotates out, you're like, "Well, I spent 30, whatever, 32, $320,
240.
240. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you can also. I'm thinking.
I don't know what that is in Canada money.
Yeah, that's
Just
a
kidding.
lot more. No, so like let's say you put together a whole deck and you spent all this money on it, and then it's like it rotates out. Maybe you can salvage a couple of pieces, but you can't sell those cards again because there's no more value in them.
When you say put together a deck, is that like, are you assembling for a whole game, or is this like your team, so to speak, that you're like building?
So a bit of both. So like there are some events that are limited or sealed where so sealed is like you're given 6 booster packs and you're told, okay, construct a 40 card deck out of this.
What's a booster pack?
A booster pack is 15 cards in a pack.
Is it just like a random pack?
Yeah, it's a randomized pack that consists of 3 uncommons, 1 rare or mythic rare, and 8, I believe, commons. No, 11 commons.
Okay.
And there's a chance of getting like a foil card, but sometimes those can be also rare or mythic rare. And usually the rare and mythic rare spot cards are like bombs, like they're like really strong cards.
Stuff that can like really help you win.
Oh, like something that warps the game entirely, like gives you a decided advantage if it goes well or if it's
Shit.
not removed. So um that's like that's a format where you're constructing for that event and then you're done with it because
So
you
you're
can't
like building
that
to
deck
use that card, basically.
yeah, you're using your pool of cards. So let's say you get 6 decks at a sealed tournament. You're choosing of all of these cards, all 6 packs. You choose like stuff that works together synergistically, and you're like, okay, I'm good in these colors. I'm gonna put this many creatures. It's gonna be 17 lands, and the rest are spells. And then you're like, okay, that's my library. That's my deck for the tournament. And so you go up against people, and it's best of 3.
Okay.
And yeah, so the winner, like eventually, if depending on where you're playing, the prize is more packs, or like if the store does a giveaway, you get a giveaway pack. But then, there's a couple other things. So
Okay.
that format is its own thing.
Okay.
But for Commander, the idea is that there are so many cards in the existence of Magic. We're looking at like, God, I'm gonna say 20,000, and I know I'm wrong. Like there's so many more even.
Yeah.
And you have to pick a legendary creature to be your
Commander. So commanders are
So-
creatures. That's not a wizard.
Right.
You're the wizard, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Or mage,
Yeah.
excuse me. Do you ever wear costumes?
Planeswalker? I don't, but some people do. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever's fun for you. For me, I've never been into like the story or the fantasy elements of it because I'm just not into it.
Nerd.
I have a hard time with well, what can I say? I just like the game elements of the game.
Like
and
the
then-
strategy of winning is what you're into?
Yeah.
I'd be the
Yeah, like-
opposite. I would lose because I'd be too into the story. I'd be like, I'm going to go
And
through
that's fine.
all these mountains and then I'd get blown up.
And that's the fun part about it is that like you can totally do that as long as you're honest about your power level and people adjust to it. That's the fun part about playing Commander or EDH. Elder Dragon Highlander was the original name of Commander, and so the shorthand is EDH. So the idea is that you go through all these legends online, or that maybe you open a booster pack and you find this legendary creature that you're like, this dude's pretty cool. I'm going to build a Commander deck around them. And you're like, it has 3 colors. I can pick from any card in all of Magic's history that'll fit in this deck. And I want to make sure it synergizes with the Commander because that's
Yeah.
always the one card that you'll always have access to.
Okay. So you're trying to build, is it wrong to say like an army? Like how do you win Magic?
So kind of, you can go that route. Like, so you have your legendary creature who is the head of your deck in Commander. But
Yes,
then
Donald
you've also
Trump.
there we go.
Or of your,
Commander- Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the other problem with Magic is that there are a surprising amount of fucking losers in.
Like, how'd you
Magic
even
that
get
I'm
in
learning
here?
About it. Yeah, exactly. Like the big controversy now is Magic terminated a contract with a long-standing artist that they used for a very long time. Like she's like one of the original artists that has the most iconic artwork and is incredibly talented. But and like the Wizards of the Coast, the company that puts out Magic, they were like, we're just giving you a heads up. The next set is the last set that we're gonna have Therese Nielsen art in it. And people were
Bullshit.
like, what? Why? And you're like, it's because she's turf. And she's like,
Oh,
and
okay.
Alex Jones yeah. So she's
But
like,
these creatures. No.
yeah, exactly. But that's the thing is like the secondary market where people like buy these singles, these like individual cards and go like, I want to use this for my deck. Her cards are speculation points right now because people are buying them out either to make money off of them or because they're like, that's bullshit. She should still be able to work. Yeah. And then the thing is like, she's a gay woman and they're like,
Whoa.
so you're telling me like this gay woman's wrong about it? You think she took a biology class and that makes her smarter than everybody right now because she at least knows trans people. You can't just change your biology. And you're like, shut up.
Yeah,
Why is this what you want to do? And my whole response to that is eat your own ass. Fuck all of you who are Like
Yes.
anyway, I have no time for any bigotry whatsoever. And the thing is, the most amount of like Trump supporting bigots that I've come across have unfortunately been in Magic the Gathering groups
In that
online.
realm. Yeah, I see that. Like I used to play World of Warcraft. It's just like that whole kind of RPG fantasy gaming world.
It's out there.
It definitely bleeds into that community for sure.
Right. It's just a wild thing to see these people like because Magic recently banned like 8 cards that had racist connotations to them.
Oh my god, they had
And
racist cards?
so like it's all these 8 like old cards. Like one of them, the big one that was like, of course, like why didn't you ban that sooner, is called Invoke Prejudice. And it's a card.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, that's
I know.
ridiculous.
I know. It's a card from like one of the oldest sets within like the first 5 sets. It was like I'm gonna guess several $100s because it was so rare and like difficult to find. The art on it is like like a palette swapped clan members. Like they're in black robes and they look like pointed
Wow.
hoods. The card number in the system was 1488, which is the Nazi, like the Nazi number. It's like 14
Whoa.
words, something about like a better world for our white children or people or whatever. And then
Ah.
88 is Hail Hitler. And that's the whole deal. And so Magic was like,
God.
oh, and then it turns out that artist is also a fucking racist. And so it took forever to get,
Surprise.
yeah. Oh, you mean the guy who wants to
Who made a Nazi card? Yeah,
Yeah.
although I guess
Anyway.
yeah, I was trying to think of if that could possibly be innocently like, it'd be really scary.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
racist. That's terrifying. And people are like,
I mean-
you're right. What the fuck?
I think it's wild that they just went ahead and called it Invoke Prejudice
Yeah, like
on top of it.
they're just like
Yeah.
straight up.
Another one. Yeah, they're nuts. It took so long. Another one was Crusade, which Crusades do have like there are a ton of connotations there, but like it was a white card and like that doesn't help. And like one of the cards that got banned was called Cleanse, and it says destroy all black creatures. And you're like, you can read that one way, but it's also like white is the color for board wipes, which is like when you play a spell that destroys all creatures.
Destroys everything, yeah. And there's creatures of every color.
Exactly.
I mean, black, red,
white, red, green, and blue.
and that card just happened to be destroy all black creatures.
Exactly. Whereas like, I don't know, I forget there were specific like hate colors, because like what's fun about Magic, and this is the real genius of the game, is that so you see the back here, the 5 colors are aligned that way.
Yeah.
So they're done this way because it goes white, blue, black, red, and green.
Okay.
Or it's referred to as Wooberg in Magic. So white for W for white, U for blue, B for black, R for red, and G for green.
Okay.
And that, so the color like the whole game centers around the colors and the color pie. So there's like literally thousands of videos of people dissecting the color pie. They're like color pie philosophy, like meetings that happen every day at Wizards of the Coast, so that they can design like so like, hold on a second. If I showed you this creature is 3 colors, right?
Yeah.
Its abilities need to match up with that color pie. So if you take all 3, you're like, what are the abilities that are available for these creatures? And the answer is like some card, like it's widely known that red can't destroy enchantments. That's just the thing that red can't do. Black can't destroy artifacts, which is another type of card, right? So and so like there are weaknesses inherent to each color, and then
strengths as well.
Certain keyword abilities are like first, second, tertiary kind of availability in certain colors. But all that to say, the whole game is built on the back of this color pie, which obviously back in the day, the first explorations were like, what if we picked a color for each color to be the enemy color? And that's easily represented by the color wheel. The color pie right here shows what's across from white is black and red. Those are enemy colors.
Oh, okay. So like, and then across from green is blue and black. I see what you're saying.
Right. So those are the enemy colors of each of the colors. If you see the allied colors, you'll see white, blue, and green are
'Cause they
allied for
touch.
white.
Okay.
Exactly. So like that's how the color pie philosophy works for Magic, and it's like it's such a fun when it comes to designing the game and like
Yeah.
thinking about, because everybody who's ever played Magic, and if they say no to this, they're absolutely lying. Everybody's tried to design a card or two, and that's, you know, the part of the groups online is like some people will be like, here's a custom card, what do you guys think? And it'll be like something will be completely off about it, and immediately, because of all the years of like over 25 years of this game, people have gotten to know the colors pretty well. They'll be like, that's not something red can do. And if you want it to
Wow.
be fairly costed, you have to like up it to like 2 extra colorless mana, or like you have to give this drawback. And so it's a matter of like balancing out the game, because that's the fun part. And
But some people do make those cards and sell them, or what?
No, the custom cards, no, because they're not
Okay.
legal anywhere. But
Ah.
people do make proxy cards. Like I personally, like some cards are just way too expensive to buy more than once or at all. And so let's say, okay, so this card, Soul Ring. This
Yes.
card is like the poster child of the format of Commander. This card is in
Okay.
every pre-constructed Commander deck that Wizards has ever released. It's pretty much the automatic inclusion of any Commander deck that anybody's putting out, because you pay one right there in the top right corner. You pay one, and then you can tap it to produce 2. So it's an accelerator, and it's only legal in this format, basically.
Okay.
It's like legal in like 2 others, but restricted in those formats. Whereas in Commander, it's like, it's one of the cards that you're allowed to use. And there's a ban list in Commander, but Soul Ring isn't on it. And I don't think it's ever going to be on it. But this
God
is just
willing.
an artifact. Yeah. Yeah.
So pay one, and what does that mean when you can pay one and?
So Soul Ring is an artifact.
Yeah.
And-
Okay.
And so that means it's a permanent. It's a permanent in Magic means that when you play it, it comes into play on the battlefield, and it remains there until it is either destroyed or exiled. When it's destroyed, it goes to the graveyard. When it's exiled, it's removed from the game.
Okay.
Soul Ring is a card that, because it's in every Commander deck, and because Commander is now the most popular format in Magic history, it's everybody needs one. Everybody needs
Okay.
one. And then there are people who are like, I want to make a deck for every color combination. And you're like, that's a person who's about to make 30 decks, because you have a colorless, and then you have the 5 colors. That's 6 right there. 10 plus 10 for the 2 colors. And then I don't even do the math.
There's like
You
so
can have a
many.
4 color. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
because you can have like 3 color decks, or like
Right.
all 5 colors versus.
So this would be 3
Okay.
colored, but let me find a legend in here that has 2 colors, just because like
and then
this
the whole
guy-
deck would only be those colors.
Exactly. So this guy, if he's your commander, let's ignore the text, because he's actually kind of complicated.
Yeah.
He's a legendary green creature. So if
Okay.
you had him as your only commander, then that means that you can only play green cards. However, that specific card, it has a partner with mechanic, which means that it can be your commander along with another creature.
Oh, that's
That
nice.
is 2 other colors. So it ends up being like 3 color deck if you build them together. But the idea is that you can build, so like this one's a black and blue creature, legendary creature. So you can build an entire deck around it.
And the whole deck would be black and blue cards.
And colorless cards. So
And
Soul
colorless,
Ring
okay.
is a colorless card,
Okay.
which means that you can play that in every deck. Literally every deck needs a Soul Ring. And so this card for a while, was like $10, and then, eventually it was printed into oblivion. So now it's sitting at $4 for every Soul Ring.
Oh,
The
wow.
thing is, I don't want to pay $4 for a thing I probably have like 30 copies of, and like just because I'm making another deck to be on my friend's web series. I've also done a bunch of episodes of Battle of the Brews with my buddies in the Commanders Brew podcast, and it's a
Oh,
lot of
great.
fun. It's like a gameplay series where we just play a game of Commander, and every episode you kind of want to bring a deck that's like, you want to play with them.
Like new and fresh. Well, wait, so
Yeah.
do you like make decks for certain games and then like never take that deck apart, and you need more cards for a new deck?
Oh yeah. So this deck is the way it is for right now.
Okay.
this deck was a pre-constructed deck, but I've found 2 cards that I had that I was like, I might as well put them in. They work well with it, and so I took out a card, put another one in.
And what
but
were
like
the?
if I showed
go
you,
ahead. Sorry, keep going.
if I showed you, yeah, I've got plenty. Like I didn't come with all my cards to Montreal from Toronto, which would have been a bonkers move, but I did come with a
So
few.
you bring nothing but your Magic the Gathering cards?
Yeah, I brought no clothes, and it doesn't even matter. So like for example, I got this this deck box right here, and this is what I did was I decided I want to pick this commander. I thought he was really interesting. He's 3 colors. His name is Mathis the Fiend Seeker. He's like a bounty hunter.
Mm.
And the kind of gameplay that he encourages is kind of like like a curse environment. So
Okay.
it's tough to explain that, but enchantment heavy, and everybody is doing their thing. But I'm not about to go buy another copy of like a $15 card, so I just took a land and wrote in Sharpie on it, and then I have that like expensive card in a binder that I can just pull out and use as like a proc. This is just my proxy for.
You're
now,
like, here's
right?
the actual card. I just don't want to fucking get.
I have it. Don't worry.
Oh, because
Exactly.
you have to like own it. Obviously.
Yeah.
So
Well, some people don't even care. Some people are like, yeah, that's $100 card, and to be able to compete with this table of people, it's fine. Don't just like.
yeah,
We'll
because
pretend
it's
that
like
that card is that card.
fuck. You just like pretend this is a better card I can't afford.
Right.
He's-
Well, I mean, that's the thing is some cards are like several $100s.
That's
Insane.
That's insane to me. So can you? I mean, I'm gathering that you can buy cards individually. It's not like okay. So do they also come in like old school baseball card packs where you just buy a pack and get what you get, or what?
Yeah. Yeah, booster packs. That's
Okay,
that's
that's
what
the
those
booster
are.
pack.
So,
Okay.
yeah. But the booster packs, depending on the set, are like if a set's done being printed, then those booster packs are much more expensive
Because
depending
they're
on what's available in the set. Yeah.
not made anymore. With Commander, I don't know if you already
Yes.
said this. Because I'm confused. I think it might be confusing with the booster packs. Is there a certain number of cards you can have in every deck, or types of cards? Is there like a
So
maximum?
the idea is that you pick your commander, that's one card, and then you have the 99, which is 99 cards for the rest of your deck. So it's a 100 card singleton deck
Okay.
that you start playing. Like the regular game of Magic is you shuffle up your deck, your library, you draw 7 cards, and then you start the game. But your commander is in the command zone. So you can
Okay.
play that card as though it's in your hand, but every time you cast it from the command zone, you have to add a commander tax to it. So yeah. Like there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 card types in Magic. Just one that I don't have in this deck. And like we already talked about lands, we talked about artifacts. Creatures are one of them. Sorceries are spells that you can just cast on your turn. Instants are like spells that you can cast at any time.
Okay.
And enchantments are kind of like artifacts, but a different permanent type. And then there's planeswalkers, which are like the big hero cards of the game. It's kind of because Netflix picked up a Magic the Gathering show, and that's who they're going to be based around.
How do you feel about that, by the way?
Fine. I think it's pretty cool, and I would love to have been part of writing it. It would have been pretty
Are
fun.
they doing more seasons? He's available.
I'll say this: if they're not, you missed your chance, you dicks. But I think
Fucking
it'll be fine.
losers. But if you are, I would love to submit.
Yeah, I would love to. I honestly am very curious to see what they do with it, because Magic has had a couple of, like, it started off with not just the cards, but also the books. So there were books that were novels part of it. And so there was like this deep lore that I eventually did get into. I was never into it while playing. And then the game is just like, so part of the fun of playing these games with some of your friends is that you'll be able to be like, hey, do you want me to give you a prompt so you can build another deck? And you're like, yeah, sure. And you have to be like, well, you have to build it from this perspective. You have to be like the lore guy. And
Oh,
like,
so you get like the story, sort of like Dungeons and Dragons, how they lead you along? And not dungeon. Yeah, that's what it's not the same, is it?
So no, but it's close. Like there's just a story, and you get to, like, for example, every legendary creature is legendary because you can only have one in play, and you can only control one at a time, but also because they have lore behind them. So for example, one of my favorite characters in Magic lore is probably Volrath, who is like this shape-shifting guy who's like the evil shapeshifter. He's not a good man.
Red flag, ladies.
I just find I think his card design is interesting, but I don't condone his actions. He's a meanie. But over the course of Magic history, what happened is his character in the story of the Weatherlight saga he impersonated. Yeah, I know. He impersonated.
I'm trying to not go. What the fuck?
No, I know. It's very dense. Like
when there's so much. That's what I'm trying to like. I don't know. There's probably
30 years.
There's probably some people listening who we may have completely lost. I'm trying to make sure to jump in and go, what does that mean? But I'm like, creatures, lore, so much. It's intimidating.
Lore is just the story of magic.